The Honorable Judge Taylor Allison Swift presiding. All rise. We hereby convene this meeting and call to order the fellow members of the Tortured Podcast Department. Welcome in. This is the 1 Hour, One Brain Cell podcast. Welcome back, everybody. As usual, Richie's Wi-Fi is to be determined about status, proof of life, cause of death. But he's really trying. If you're new here, welcome in. If you were one of the randomly 85 people that have viewed our carding video, we are happy you're here, and we're trying to get to 100. Not that has anything to do with today's episode, but we appreciate you. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host Richie. He can do it with a broken heart.
I am joined by my co-host Jordan, who is, in fact, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news. Breaking news. Jordan is moving to Destin, Florida.
Yeah, I mean, like, where else would you go to escape from it all? It's a hell of a drug. If you can't tell, we certainly have a theme for today's podcast. We talked about it last episode. We warned you all beforehand that this was what was going to happen. We're going to be talking a lot about the Tortured Poets Department, all of the weird ways that has crossed over into our lives this week. We have all kinds of other random nonsense to start with, I guess. We have the show notes are a mess. Richie has a link in here that I haven't even opened that has something from Twitter on it. So I mean,
I can't
where
wait
do you want
to
to start?
It to you.
Where do you want to start? Because we have a lot to cover, and we are definitely going to go over time because I just looked at it.
We have to let's go to everything else, and then we'll get to Taylor as it comes. So we'll just kind of roll through everything, and then everybody gets to hang around for the Taylor stuff. So I'm going to start with the video that you haven't seen yet, because this is incredible. This is going to start the podcast on a truly incredible start. Okay, here we go. Let's go to present. Let's go to share screen. Here we go. I have 25 different Twitter links on here to bring up during the show. Plenty of memes to go around. Okay, so here we go. Presented to you, ladies and gentlemen of the podcast and Jordan, without context, please enjoy this video.
Ooh. What am I looking at here?
There it goes.
Oh.
This is real. This is not AI, ladies and gentlemen. This is a robot.
Oh, that's the Terminator. Wow.
This is a brand new Boston Dynamics robot that they unveiled.
Yeah, Skynet. Yeah.
This week.
What? No, I'm good. Actually, I've wasn't Boston Dynamics the one that had the creepy ass one that looked like kind of like a dog and was like orange or yellow and had 4 legs and like was bobbing up and down on 4 legs?
I think
Isn't
so.
that
I think
also Boston
You're
Dynamics?
probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've seen Blade Runner, both versions. I've seen Terminator, enough of the movies. I'm good. We're good on that. No more robots. iRobot, also bad. Ex Machina.
That's iRobot is exactly what I thought of. That's what that looked like to me, and that's like where we're headed. We're headed towards an iRobot situation.
I've already had enough of the AI. We don't need this. I'm okay. Because once they start putting artificial consciousness in these things, we're done. We're done for.
I'm trying to read through their like little thing here, but it's too much. In the role of a humanoid robot, the latest iteration of the Atlas robot builds on a long history of innovation and R&D. Traditionally, we have focused on legged robots because we wanted to build robots that could bounce and move dynamically. However, that form factor doesn't limit our vision of how a bipedal robot can move. Commercialization takes great engineering, but it also takes patience, imagination, collaboration. Boston Dynamics has proven that we can deliver the full package with both industry-leading robotics and a complete ecosystem of software services, blah, 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 blah. Make robotics useful in the real world. Dude,
Girl, once that thing starts running, it's over for us.
Yes. We're going to, it's,
no.
Yep, it's gonna get Usain Bolt action going on. Kind of like in Star Wars, how they have like the games. I remember it was in the like the newer prequel trilogy, and they were watching this like sporting event of robots playing God knows what. That's what that reminds me of. So, just another thing to bet on, folks.
The only kind of robot I will accept is the one from that really sad art installation that it's the hydraulic arm, right? But it's leaking hydraulic fluid and it continuously has like the little squeegee and it like pulls the fluid back into itself, but like eventually it will run out of fluid and stop working. Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so.
It's very sad. It's like an investigation into human mortality that's like at first it started very smooth and like really cool, and it was like this big robotic arm and it was like moving around or whatever, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was designed to eventually leak hydraulic fluid, and it just continuously tries to like keep pulling its robot blood back into its body, and eventually it'll run out of fluid. And no, it's very sad. That's the only robot I will accept. Because I get that one. I sympathize.
No robots henceforth on the podcast, I promise. But I just had to bring that up to you and get your reaction. So we're off to a good start already.
That was so scary. I wish I hadn't seen that with my own two eyes. No, thank you. Yeah, it's actually in the show notes. It's just the bullet says creepy ass robot followed by the link. And I didn't open it because I was like, I want this to be a raw reaction. What else have we got on here? We have a brief Coachella recap, but I think we're gonna need to scrub that because we have so much to talk about.
Too much to talk about.
But it was great. If you haven't seen some of the artist performances from Coachella weekend 1 or weekend 2, go look those up because a lot of them are on YouTube right now, but there were some people doing some really killer sets. Letterboxd corner. Richie, this is you. I'm gonna throw to you as the Letterboxd expert.
Yes. Watched a lot of movies over the last few weeks, including 2 while I was visiting you in Indiana recently. And so let's start with that. So this has been long awaited, ladies and gentlemen, which is Jordan has made a list for me of movies to watch, which is ever growing at this point because I feel like every week I always mention the movie that I haven't seen, and it just goes on my list and I'll get around to watching it eventually. So one of those movies is, of course, Moulin Rouge, which I had never seen. And I finally saw it for the first time on Jordan's pristine copy from, I believe, 2004 on DVD, like the special edition DVD, ladies and gentlemen. Not even the Blu-ray. Not the Blu-ray, not the 4K, not the 4K UHD.
It's the original Blu-ray in the packaging with the manual, with the second disc, with the bonus features, the whole shebang.
Still got it. And so pulled out that copy and I was able to watch Moulin Rouge for the first time. And so here is my Letterboxd review of Moulin Rouge. Found out inadvertently what voulez-vous coucher avec moi, ce soir, a while back meant. I forgot. My grammar's terrible. And it did not mean what I thought it did, which I think we've previously discussed on the show.
This is true. It's not. And I remember him texting me this. We'll give a very brief play-by-play for anybody that hadn't tuned into the previous episodes, but it was about the NHL draft in Montreal, I believe. It was like, Richie, do you know any French? And he spat out this line from Lady Marmalade, which is completely valid because it is French. But he was like, texted it to me and was very proud of knowing that. And I was like, Richard, did you Google by chance what that means beforehand? And he's like, I did not. So that was great. That was a raw reaction. Did you mention what you gave it for stars? Was I just not
3.5 stars? 3.5 stars.
Okay. I logged it again because might as well. And I gave it 5 stars And I said, the eternal question, do I need a mood stabilizer or is this just a Baz Luhrmann film? Which I feel like is correct because Richie
Perfect
watched like the
segue.
first,
Yes.
you watched like the first 10 minutes of this and you were like, does this get better or do I have motion sickness? Or like, I was like, just bear with it. It gets better, but you have to sit through the weird stuff. It's like the green fairy comes down for the first time. You're like, what am I watching? Did you late? Like, yeah, it's wild.
It was a feast for the cinematic eyes and ears.
It really was. I would love for this movie to come back in theaters at some point, like a re-release.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't post the funniest Letterboxd review that I saw about this. This is also someone that rated it 5 stars. And it's in all caps, but it just says, "It's over, Anakin. I can reach the high notes." And the way that I lost my mind when Richie found that and read it to me, we were like watching the movie and he was combing through the Letterboxd reviews and was like, "Jordan, stop what you're doing." And it really changed my life and my perspective on Letterboxd. And I don't think I'll ever write a review as funny as that, but now I have something to shoot for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, Ewan McGregor is brilliant.
I promised you that I would rewatch it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would like it better on subsequent viewings, knowing what I know now.
It's true. I think that's one that
it's a lot to take in. It's like watching watching Tenet for the first time or watching Inception for the first time. You have no idea. You're like kind of confused as to like what the hell's going on. And then you watch it
or
again,
listening to the Tortured Poets Department for the first time. You're like, nope.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so I will watch it again.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to update your review after the second watch because now that you understand the plot and the direction that it's going, I think it'll make more sense. Let's talk about the other movie that I made you watch while you were here.
Yes, the other movie on my list was The Princess Diaries, starring Anne Hathaway.
The first one. He still has to watch the second one. He's not there yet.
Yes, I do. And we watched this like we watched the first part of it before we had departed to go elsewhere, and so we only had a little bit of time. So like, we can just put up the movie on. We'll watch the first half of it, and so I watched it in 2 different sittings. So I will put that with that caveat. I gave The Princess Diaries 3 stars, and I said, we all need a Paolo in our lives, to be honest. P.S. Fat Louie was the true star of this one.
It's true.
The cat.
We love Fat Louie. Fat Louie made me kind of want a cat for a minute the first time I saw this movie, and then I have not ever had a cat. I rated this 5 stars and I said, get off the grass. That honestly plays through my head every single time I run across a patch of grass. There's like those loudspeakers outside of the embassy or whatever it is that say get off the grass in like 14 different languages. And anytime I run across grass that looks like it's been nicely landscaped for that purpose, my brain is like, get off the grass. And my mom knows I love that part too, and she loves that part. And it's but like really just it's a Julie Andrews film. It's an Anne Hathaway film. What's not to Sandra Oh is in it. What's not to like?
Yes. Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree. Which
Mm-hmm.
brings me to my next point, which you were making fun of me for this because, and I think there's even evidence of this in our text messages because I admitted to this, which is I do not have a like specific set of rules for my Letterboxd rating. It's based entirely on vibes.
Okay, yeah. Let me see what did the text send. I have it right here. I have it pulled up. Okay. You said Corey just called me out for my 3-star Princess Diaries review. I said, as she should. It's at least a 4. He says, I still enjoyed it. I just have no criteria for my rating system. I said, that's chaotic. There's stars for a reason on Letterboxd. I get it's fine if it's based on vibes, but like You were perfectly fine ranking my one brain cell atrocities on a scale of 1 to 5, but yet you can't stack up a movie 1 to 5 on how good versus bad it is. It's solely vibes.
Pretty much.
Answer for your crimes.
Because here's the thing. Like, I have several different, like, 5 stars is really hard to achieve. And so in my brain, this is the way I'm going to process it. So bear with me here for a second as I try to do this in live time and process this. Like, I can't rate. So it's like, okay, well, can I give Princess Diaries the same ranking as I do like a truly great 4.5, 5-star movie? And I only have 2 5-star ratings on my Letterboxd, and I think I maybe only have a couple 4 stars on there, right? And it's like, can I rate that as highly as like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna say one of my 5-star movies.
I was debating. By the way, I'm gonna just backtrack for a second. So my little Easter egg board back here, I was debating putting on that board like the episode of The Office that's like 0 days since our last nonsense. I was just gonna wait until I got a chance to scratch off, but anyway, go ahead. I didn't do it, so you're safe for now.
Exactly. So here's my thinking on this. It's like, I can't rate some of these. Like, I liked Moulin Rouge. I liked Princess Diaries. They're good movies, but I can't rank them as highly as like in order to get over 4 stars. 4 stars is like a very, very good movie to me. And it's like Oscar worthy. And then 4.5 and 5 is like elite. So I just don't throw those out willy-nilly. Okay. Do not throw those out willy-nilly. And so like, I have to like, in my mind, be like, I can't go that high. So if you're in that 3.5 star range, that's good to me. Anything less than that is bad or awful, or I didn't enjoy it. La La Land, I'm sorry to throw your hand in the bus again, only 2.5 stars. But so that's how my brain kind of works. It's like, I don't really have like, oh, okay, acting 5 star. You know what I mean? I don't have like an algorithm to do it.
No. Neither do I. I'm not going that far into it. I think I'm maybe a little bit more a little bit looser on my ratings, because to get a 5 star from me just means that I really enjoyed it and I would recommend somebody else watch this film. Like, it's something that I'll probably watch again in the future because I liked it so much. Or it was like it'll stick with me a little bit. It's hard for me to give a film a bad rating unless it was genuinely cheesy or didn't have a really good payoff or I had a hard time sitting through it. And even maybe that last metric is like hard for me because I don't sit still very well. So having a movie be hard to sit through for me is maybe a little bit of a sketchy metric. Like, the most recent one that I rated, one of the most recent ones that I rated lower, I rated Anatomy of a Fall, which is the one with our good friend Messy, Snoop the dog. I rated Anatomy of a Fall 3.5 stars. I thought the plot was really good, the development was really good, the cinematography was really good. I had a hard time sitting through it because I simply could not focus with that much French happening in one sitting. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy foreign films. Like, I really loved Parasite. I liked the original, what is it, Train to Busan. I watched one recently this past week that was a Mexican horror called Disappear Completely that's on Netflix. I like a foreign film, but there was just a lot happening in a foreign language that I had to process it, and it took me like 2 sittings to finish the movie, which is the luxury of streaming it at home and not something you can do in a theater. But like, that rated lower for me. Whereas, like, I've rated The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe a 4. That has potential to go to a 4.5 for me. They're not even remotely similar. You could never put those two together. But it was like, I just enjoyed it and sat through it. So it's, I don't know. I feel like the subgenre of movie is enough of a distinction that people aren't going to look at my list and be like, why did you rank Barbie? Hold on, let me see what I ranked Barbie. Why did you rank Barbie at 4.5 stars and you also ranked Sunset Boulevard at 4.5 stars? those are not remotely similar, but the genre and that's, I don't know. I'll argue with the wall on that one, but I think your ratings should be more generalized, is what I'm saying. You're giving a lot of things very low ratings, even though they're good films, because you refuse to put anything in the same category as that one Christopher Nolan film that everybody won't stop talking about.
Yes, exactly. This is true though, because if you think about it, like if you go back to school and you do your ABCD, if I'm giving a movie 3 out of 5, that's 60. That's a D. That's not a good. That's fail. So I think you have me on that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Sure. But like, okay, say you're rating it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. You would be failing a
That's
lot
why
of
there needs
movies.
to be more increments. You need to be able to rate
You
it.
would be
Instead of going just 3 to 3.5, there needs to be like 3.4, like, or 3.45. You should be able to do it that way.
This
More
isn't
accurate that way.
No, this isn't baseball. We're not counting whether you pitched 4.2 innings. No. We're not doing that. You would be the professor that everybody hates on Rate My Professor. It'd be like, this dude refuses to grade any of us higher than a 60. It's like, why does he do that? Oh, well, this one time Christopher Nolan. You're like, yeah, okay, whatever. They'd be like, don't take his class.
I don't disagree with you there, to be honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're gonna say I'm right, and let's move on.
So, real quick, can I just mention one more thing about Letterboxd? I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon for the first time this week.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, a long time ago. It's been a minute, but
yeah. So I had never seen it. This movie came out like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I had
Michelle
never
Yeoh.
seen it. Yeah, exactly. And I was blown away with how good this movie is. I was like, why haven't I watched this sooner? It was literally perfect. It was so good. So speaking of my 5-star, I gave that movie 5 stars. I was like,
did you really? Okay, well done.
I did. Yes.
I watched this past week Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck. I was on a little bit of a classic film kick this past week. And I gave that one 5 stars. I'd never seen that one before. It was so cute. It was adorable. I would watch that film again. I recommend somebody else watches that film, even if you don't know anything about it. It was like Audrey Hepburn had some real comedic chops. She was great in that. I was very impressed. Anyway.
That concludes Letterboxd Corner.
Yeah, we could do a Letterboxd segment every week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can talk about our brief misfortune this week, which is Ticketmaster Q2 Us 0.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't really want to.
This is like I don't really want to talk about
here,
honestly.
We can air grievances. That's why we have a platform. Other people will have this grievance too. We'll just very briefly talk about our grievance here. I initially put this on the doc as in all caps. I put all things go hell. And then I changed it to all things go to hell on the document because I thought that fit better. But we consecutively on 2 consecutive days, we lost to Ticketmaster trying to get general admission festival tickets. I called my dad and I was telling him about it. He's like, how do you sell out of general admission tickets? And I was like, that's what I'm saying. If there's a spot in the grass that I can put my butt on, it's not sold out. Like, what is your deal here? But anyway, they probably sold their capacity. A lot of it seems to be going to resellers. We all have beef with Ticketmaster, and I wish there was a better way to do ticketing rather than Ticketmaster. But unfortunately, those jerks have cornered the market. So
I agree. So here's the thing. I've attended festivals in the past, several, and every single time I've gone, they've all used their own ticketing system, right? And I don't know exactly who the company that runs it is, but there are several different companies that are like festival companies, and they'll host festivals in every different city, right? So like I've gone to Innings Festival a couple times here in Arizona. They use their own ticketing system, and not once have I ever not like gone. Even this year, great lineup this year, right? Hozier was playing, Red Hot Chili Peppers, I
Noah
think were playing.
Khan.
So yeah, Noah Khan, great lineup,
Yeah.
and you were still able to get general admission tickets for that like the weekend of, pretty easily.
Right.
And same thing with I went to a Las Vegas festival several years ago as well, and Green Day, Billie Eilish were part of that.
Oh, you went to Life is Beautiful that year.
Yes, Life is Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I remember the name of it. And the same thing. It's like it took a while for them to sell out. They didn't sell out immediately because they weren't on Ticketmaster. And so you didn't have these asshole bots buying up all the G-dang tickets. Ridiculous.
There has to be a better way. I get it. Like some of the venues are contractually obligated to do ticketing through a system, but I just feel like there has to be a better way. Or at the very least, like I really feel for the people that live in that area that are local to the festival, because it seems like a lot of them really got screwed over.
Got shut out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like just we literally live in the area and can't go, and this is like our local little festival. Like, what do you know about it? So we're in the middle of still having a depressive episode about these tickets. We love these artists. You've heard us talk about them on the podcast incessantly. Richie is still trying to learn how to go. Like,
yes,
pull the receipts. They're in our Spotify streams, in our Apple Music streams. Like, show me where you were June 3rd, 2022. Because if you weren't streaming Tattoos by Renee Rapp, I sure was. I have the receipts to prove it. Show me where you were. So if you're a Ticketmaster reseller and you're listing these for like, I saw them the other day. I was looking and I hurt myself by looking, but like $700 for general admission, not even the GA Pavilion, which is like the front section, over 3 times the general ticket amount. If you're selling that, get a life. Get a life. Pick a different hobby. You guys suck.
I agree. Wait, that went better than I thought that it would. I think because we got most of our grievance out through our text messages.
I think that's true. There were a lot more swear words that happened in the first couple of days. And we even like roped my poor mom into it. It was like 7 a.m. Arizona time. She's like, why do I have to be awake right now? We're like, we just need your help trying to get these tickets. We weren't even that far back in line, but we just got shut out. It was like that first day, I swear, as soon as we logged on, it was like low ticket warning. You're like, whoa, hold on.
Impossible. Impossible for 15,000 people to buy tickets that quickly.
No, I get that they were holding back some of the inventory, that they didn't release it all the first day, which is, it's a good idea because we all remember where we were for Taylor Swift when it was like, if you didn't get pre-sale, there was no more inventory remaining. You're like, whoa, how did that happen? So we all know where we were for that. And so they didn't make that mistake at least, but it just felt wrong. No, Michael, that was so not right. Okay. That's my segue, because we also have a Formula 1 brain cell to cover really quickly. You want to say it? Do you want me to say it? Are we joining forces on this one?
Oh yes, I think I know where. Yes.
Ready?
Go. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Aussie Bio.
Oh!
Yes.
They continue to do it. We continue to have Haas drivers in the points. It's really for the people. We love to see it. You guys should love to see it too, because we get excited about it. We get fired up. Yep. So that was great. China had some interesting stuff. We had some interesting little driver interactions.
It was chaotic, dude. It was like
very chaotic. It was our first sprint race of the season. For the people, do you want to break down a sprint race versus the regular race as our motorsports expert?
Yes. The sprint race is something that's rather new. This is basically to make the weekend more interesting outside of just having 3 practice sessions. So this is a shorter version, about 100 kilometers or so of a race. 4 points, 1 through 8, a little less points up for grabs. And so we got that. And this past weekend at China, we're going to get another one. We're going to get another one coming up in Miami in a couple of weeks, which should be interesting. But yeah, the sprint race was quite interesting because the qualifying for that happened in the rain, which was fun as heck. And it was like the most chaotic thing I've ever seen. I don't think you made it through qualifying, right? I think you
I made it.
qualifying.
Yeah, I made it.
Oh, you did? Okay, you were awake for that.
I was like,
yes.
I slept through free practice 1 because I was like, I have to pick one. Because for me, FP1 was like 11 p.m. and then I think the sprint qualifying was like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually up at like 4:30 to go to work anyway. So I was like, I'm gonna bin the 11 p.m. session and sleep through that and then wake up for sprint qualifying. But I did make it, yes.
Yeah, so it was chaotic. It was in the rain. Lando Norris, we thought had a time deleted, but then he didn't. And so he ended up being so they reinstated his time and he ended up getting the fastest time. I thought for a second that Lewis had P1. I was very excited. I was like, yes, Lewis, finally, thank God. Hallelujah. And then he gets bumped down to P2. Lando goes P1 into the sprint. Lewis has a really good start to the race. Lando doesn't. Lewis leads the race for the first half while Max is trying to work his way through traffic. And then eventually it's Max's race from there on out. And Lewis still got a podium, which is probably going to be the glorifying moment of his entire rest of the season for Mercedes because they suck. He cannot get out of there quick enough. Goodbye, Toto Wolff. You are a jerk. I'm sick of him and Mercedes treating Lewis like trash with that trash ass car. I can't wait for Ferrari. It literally cannot come soon enough. Thank you for letting me have my Lewis soapbox. I love Lewis.
Yeah, you're welcome. I knew you had to get that out of the way. But Mercedes did bring us one good thing this weekend, which was Nico Rosberg on the commentary. That man is so fun because he is an equal opportunity hater. So obviously he likes to talk about Mercedes. He likes to talk about Lewis. That's his former teammate. That's his former team. But he was out there and he was also kind of a big Lando fan, which I loved. But he was out there really roasting everyone essentially. And it was so funny. He was on a roll. Crofty was on a roll. They both had some really wild one-liners all weekend. That was like, RB stands for really bad, which was rough.
That was my favorite.
There was oh no, it was Valtteri Bottas out with engine issues, Yuki Tsunoda out with Kevin Magnussen issues, which was also very funny. So we did get both RBs out on the weekend. Lance Stroll crashing people, fork found in kitchen.
Stupid.
So stupid. And then he went on there and tried to blame Ricciardo, who, like, I know we've dumped on Ricciardo a little bit on the podcast, but he actually had a pretty good weekend. And then got binned by Lance Stroll from behind, and it was like actually kind of violent. I'm glad everybody's okay, but it was like Stroll's front wing went like under Ricciardo's car and lifted it up. Essentially, it was worse than I got hit in our karting video, and I thought nothing could be worse than me getting T-boned by a teenager. But like, here we are. That was wild. Lando did a really good job, by the way. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Lando. Some of it was because of the safety car. I will say that there was some dicey handling on the safety cars that happened. But he did a great job once he got out there. He stood his ground on P2, had a really good pace. Checo couldn't catch him. Charles couldn't really do anything about it. So that was well deserved, and we
well deserved driver of the day. I'm a Lewis lover. Lewis did not deserve driver of the day. I think he finished second. I think no, he did not.
He did. They almost.
He got so lucky.
Well, I don't know if he got lucky. It was, again, the safety car had a big shuffling of the lineup. But I texted you, and this was really big brain from me at like 4 a.m. It was like, this shouldn't even be a contest. He should be winning by a Lando slide. And it's like, I'm good. I got it. Great. I still got it. We did not get on the broadcast, which was suggested or promised to us because they made Rosberg do the grid interviews with the drivers after the race. Crofty was trying to get him to ask Max about his favorite kind of cheese. We did not get the answer to that, but we did get the answer today on the Team Redline stream because somebody put it in the chat. It was like, what is Max's favorite kind of cheese?
Yes, exactly. I don't have it pulled up, so I can't play it for you. But yes, he was asked about it on his live stream, and he said Gouda. Now
it was Gouda. He said Gouda, which I don't know if that's the Dutch pronunciation. But
It's gotta
way,
be.
it's
It's gotta
Gouda.
be. But anyway, yeah. So
It could be.
I'm gonna shout out Jordan for this because we were joking about this during the race because we wanted to know. We wanted to know during the interview, and Nico didn't get to ask it. But this is a screenshot of Jordan and I's conversation about the cheese.
Okay.
So here it is, right here.
It's this is again Richie's contact photo for himself is not himself. Don't be alarmed. Rosberg and Crofty out of context. Cheese emoji. Richie says, "I wanted to know." I said it has to be Gouda because it's Dutch. Like obviously, this was the day of the race. We got confirmation on that today, so I get some points for that. I will also walk with me here on this. I realized when I was doing this research on you that I binned a She's the Man reference on you many episodes ago. I think it was back when we were on our Valentine's Day episode. We were talking about our favorite romantic comedies. Mm-hmm. But you asked me do you like cheese from She's the Man? And I failed the yes and because I just sat there and kind of nodded at you and was not like, why, yes, I do. My favorite's Gouda. I love that movie. I don't know why I did that, but I was watching it back when I was trying to cut our 15 episode thing together, and I was like, why did I do that? Because it was giving Emma Stone in La La Land when Ryan Gosling's character, he's like, I got the bullets, and he's making a Rebel Without a Cause reference at her, and she's like, yes, and you can tell that she does not know what's going on. I don't know why it was giving La La Land, but I was like, this is. So then, La La Land, and then connected to your favorite movie. And we've now connected Max Verstappen to Oppenheimer, which is 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We can just end the podcast. But I trailed that down and I was like, why did I do that? Was the dumbest thing I've ever done is I failed yes and with you on that. But we are Gouda enjoyers on this podcast. And
yes,
there you go. So that's probably most of the recap. I just had briefly Ferrari's going blue for Miami, which is news as of today. McLaren TBD, but some of their merch release looks like they may be going back to the Marlboro livery, or at least some version of it. We'll see. And we're also getting crossovers. At least I am. I'm getting a lot of these now, which is F1 Tortured Poets Department edits on my TikTok, because I liked that one that you sent me because I think you got it first. But then it's like a cold, like a viral illness. It has now taken over. The bacteria have multiplied and they've taken over my For You page. I'm getting So Long London Lewis Hamilton edits. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, Max Verstappen, and some of Charles Leclerc. But that varies. But I'm getting all kinds of random Taylor Swift F1 crossover on my For You page. And I can't say that I hate it, but it's a very specific niche that I fall into, that I think our podcast falls into, to be honest.
Yes, exactly.
It's ridiculous. So yeah. Points for Max again this weekend as well. We won't play the song because you all have heard enough of it, but it's a great.
And we got copyrighted because we played in the last episode. So
we did. I told you that was going to happen, but it's whatever. It's worth it. It's a good day for the Dutch national anthem. Great rendition there, by the way. Let's get into the meat of the segment, the meat and potatoes here. Let's break down the Tortured Poets Department. Have you had enough time to digest this yet?
Oh, plenty.
It hasn't even been a week.
Trust me, plenty.
Really? Because I still don't feel comfortable with it. It hasn't been a week yet, but I still don't feel like I've processed it enough. Maybe that's me.
I don't think any of us are going to ever be able to process it. It's that kind of an album. So I've listened to it, I think 2 times all the way through, and then just choosing songs here and there ever so after that. And so I feel much more comfortable talking about it now than we did, because we're recording on Wednesday this week and not Sunday. If we were to have recorded on Sunday like normally, that would have been tough. But now that we're several days on and it can seep into our pores a little bit more, I think we got plenty of time behind us to digest it a little bit here.
Okay, give me your initial thoughts. What's your thought here? And you can tell that we're both fans. We're in our Eras Tour shirts today for those of you at home listening instead of watching.
So My biggest takeaway so far is after first listen, I was just like, all right, it's all right, right? In fact, I'll bring up my text to you because I texted you on when I was listening to it at least on first go because I was awake, of course, being West Coast. It's 9 p.m. I was on it, right on top. On top of it, so much that Apple Music released it about 10 minutes early. So I saw people like tweeting out pictures that they
See,
were listening to it at
start.
8:50, and I was
Yeah.
like, the hell? And so I popped up my Apple Music. Yes, we get it 10 minutes early. Let's go. Apple Music for the win. And so
I was asleep for the
yeah.
record because there was a race the next morning. And that was it again, like 3 a.m. I was like, I'm just gonna wake up and watch the race and listen to the album at the same time. Which was
So
a very weird soundtrack, by the way. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because I felt like I was doing too many things with my brain at once.
yeah, so I'm trying to go through here. Okay, here we I think I found it. Okay, here we go. Here's all
Mhm.
of our Formula One conversation. That's okay, here we go. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. So this is my text to you. I didn't text you that much because I knew you were asleep, and so we would talk about it later. But this is here's my
And then I
listening
sent
experience.
you 97 unsolicited memes while you were asleep the
Yes.
second time while I was at work.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I have some of those pulled up that we'll get to in a second.
Perfect.
So,
Okay.
I texted you at 9:41 p.m. That would be 12:41 a.m. for you. I said,
Mhm.
"This album is so darn sad, dude," which is true.
Still true.
After I finished the first 16 songs, we'll get to that.
What we thought was the only 16 songs,
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
Blissfully unaware.
I said, lyrically incredible, sonically just okay. It's a lot to take in and hoping it'll grow on me. Okay.
Okay.
An hour goes by. Taylor was teasing something on her Instagram with a countdown to 2 a.m. Eastern time. And so we were like, okay, well, what could this
People were posting the peace sign emoji all week. We were like, what?
Yeah.
Not now, gesture. This is important. Anyway.
And she was like teasing something coming at 2 a.m. Eastern time. I was like, okay, well, what's this gonna be? Is this gonna be like I thought it was gonna be okay, well, she's probably just gonna put out all the vinyl exclusive songs onto streaming. That's what I thought it was gonna be, which ended up happening, yes, but we got way more than we expected. And so 2 a.m. Eastern time comes around and she ends up announcing that we got an entirely new 15 songs. So I texted you at 11:02 p.m. my time, 2:02 a.m. your time, in all caps, double album. God damn it, Blondie.
It's true. We really should have been expecting this. My favorite tweet that really felt like it encapsulated the spirit of the whole thing was Nathan from Every Single Album that was like, I'm on track 28. It is 2:48 a.m. and this is starting to feel like a hostage situation. And I was like, that's so right. That's so right. Because I feel like the last couple of releases, like we've really been ruined. And I'm wondering if there's ever going to be a point in time at which we can go to bed and just expect a normal release without any of the tomfoolery.
Yes.
Or if I am forever going to have to dread the announcement that this is a double album, because lately that feels like that's just what's going to happen with Miss Taylor over here. But anyway.
So that's how I originally ingested it. And now several days later, the album has grown on me quite a bit. And I understand it a lot more than I did. But my main takeaway from this entire thing, and I want to see if you agree with me on this, is this album is an album that was written exclusively for Taylor. Right?
Yeah.
This album was not for us, essentially.
Right.
This is I've seen some other people say this too, but I 100% agree with it, which is this is an album, and I think she even said this in like some of her like pre-album and post-album like notes, basically, which is like, I need to do this to end this chapter of my life.
Yeah.
And move on. And so I think once we understand that, then it's able to unlock the entire album as a whole, in that it's okay if we don't like it, because this album wasn't for us, essentially. So if we do like some songs on it, cool. But if it's not her best album, I don't think it is. In fact, I sent you my ranking, and it's kind of down towards the end of the list. I think I have it like 7th or 8th out of the 11 albums. I think once I have understood that this album was something that Taylor absolutely 100% needed to do for herself to feel okay and feel like she was okay and moving on from a really awful chapter of her life, then it started to like unlock the album, and it gave me a little bit of a different perspective and the ability to kind of enjoy songs more so than I did on first listen.
That is such a good take. I'm so glad you said that. That is such a true take. And I think the divide that's going on right now, like, you can correct me, but you're on the same side of Twitter as I am, but the divide that's going on right now between the Swifties that get it, and I don't really have a good word to explain this, but like some of the newer members of the fandom that, like, you know, came in on the tail end of the Eras tour, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, those fans are still fans. They're very sweet. They're very bought in. But there's definitely a wedge there where it's people that are realizing that this is it's very vulnerable. It's on a level that's very different from her other work. It's like, we got to sneak a peek at her diary and get past the facade and the pop star, and you know, Taylor on some level at least trusts us to get that things were hard at that moment. Like you said, I had to write this to get through it. I'm doing better now. And it's like you said, it's in that prologue that she wrote to the album. I put this quote in here. It's like, there's nothing to avenge. There's no scores to settle. Yes, some of these wounds were self-inflicted. We can heal from the pain, but we have to talk about it. And I think that's where the divide is coming in and the gap is coming in, is people were expecting, and I think you and I at some level too, were expecting maybe we would get some like tail end of Midnights type songs. A lot of these felt sonically different, and in some way also twins to more of the Folklore Evermore stuff, especially the back half on the anthology with Aaron Dessner, which like makes sense, obviously. With all of that said, I could not tell you more than a few lyrics because they are all just rattling around in my brain like loose marbles. It is a children's ball pit up there. It is filled with wet scrambled eggs that have yet to congeal into any kind of linear, rational, coherent thought or memorization. It's like trying to recall a lyric from that song. It's like people will post videos, and if it's not the chorus of it, people will like post TikTok videos. And I'm like, that's a great song. I wish I could tell you what that one is. It's just like they're all floating around in there like the cranberries that the Ocean Spray guys stand in on the commercials, and they just won't stick together. I have yet to do that. And I think you bring up a really good point as well when you said like you've now started to digest it. It's been a week, which is why I tend not to give so much credit to those reviewers early on that were giving it really harsh reviews or really bad critiques. I am still organizing my thoughts on this. And you mean to tell me within 24 to 48 hours, you're going to put out essentially a diss track column that's like, this is the worst album Taylor's ever made. Fine. Critique it sonically, critique it lyrically. Do not critique the subject matter, especially if it's an artist's pain or loss or struggle, something incredibly personal and vulnerable, and they've chosen to share. That's in bad taste. And the thing I like the most is it's from one of the reviews that she's been retweeting, but it was early on, and it was from the Times in the UK, not the New York Times. But it was like, stop assigning these tracks a paternity test. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah. That's enough. Let's stop trying to box them into categories about which man they're about, because as we know, like as people, you have more relationships than just your partner or your spouse. It could be your friends or your family or yourself. And a lot of these are very deeply introspective. And I think that came from Dan Cairns from the Times in the UK. I looked this up before the podcast and then immediately forgot. But he's the one that had the paternity test line. And I think that's great. I think that's the attitude that we need to take into it. is it, like you said, this is not for us. We can enjoy it, but it wasn't written for us. It was written for her own catharsis.
And I will admit, I was guilty at first, and I think a lot of us were this way, where we were trying to play this game with ourselves. And I think this was part of the reason why I didn't enjoy the album at first, is because I was playing the game with myself of trying to figure out who was who, what was what, and it was distracting. It distracted me from what the album was about, and that was a mistake. And since then, I've grown on from that, and really, I've tried to kind of separate myself from the discourse about who is who and whatnot. It doesn't really interest me, and something that neither of us were interested in talking about on this podcast, I think. So we're going to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah,
and we've done a really good job of so far. So yeah, so I was guilty of that at first, but I am glad I've moved on from that, and I hope other people do too. And I think eventually they will, and they'll understand kind of the narrative that Taylor was trying to tell in this sector of her life. And so I want to we'll get to the memes in a second, so you can end on kind of a silly note. But are there any songs now that have like kind of stood out to you that are going to be on repeat or on rotation? Because like I tweeted this out too, which is when I first listened to it, I was like, I don't know how often I'm going to go back to this, because it is a lot to take in. It's really emotionally a roller coaster. And there isn't like many, I don't know if I use them, but like pop bangers, like maybe her previous albums, which is part of the reason why it's a little bit further on my album list, is because there wasn't a song to me that was like the song, right? There wasn't like a Cruel Summer. There wasn't a Getaway Car, right? There wasn't, some of the like a Blank Space. There wasn't those level of songs that really elevate the album. So are there any songs several days later
it's not one that you can very easily or very friendly place on shuffle? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
going, it's the same thing with Folklore and Evermore. Like I have that same attitude towards those albums, is like, if I'm in the car driving somewhere and I want an upbeat song, I can't just put Taylor Swift on shuffle, because I might get Carolina for all I know. I have no idea. I might get that damn song from the Cats movie that we won't talk about. But you have to put you have to chunk the pop albums together and make a playlist of that, and then put that on shuffle. Because if one of these comes on, you're like, I feel really bad for skipping it, but it's not the vibe right now. We must be on the same wavelength, because I was going to ask you for some of your highlights as well. I have the notes here. I know I sent you initially my little rankings. That was day of. These have pivoted and changed a little bit. And I'll mostly talk about the original 15 or 16 songs. Florida with Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. There is an earworm in that song that lives in my brain, and at some point during the day, pretty much every day, my brain will just start yelling Florida. I love that song. Sonically, it's great. Material wise, the inspiration for it is really funny. That's just like, I think she said she was just watching a lot of Dateline. It was like, where do you go when you need to reinvent yourself and get away from it all? And it was like, oh, obviously Florida. Let me call Florence, which is such a wild thing to do. It's like, what if we just called Florence up and get her on a song? Florida is up there. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, going viral, but justifiably so.
That's on my list as well.
I love the intro to this song as well, sonically. And I put this in my note to you, but it bears a very passing resemblance to the intro of Family Tree by Ethel Cain. It's just a little bit cinematically constructed. I don't know. I love the assembly and the production of that one. And then the song itself is great. This is one I hate that I like, which is But Daddy, I Love Him. I hate that word is going to it's going to go into my iPhone when I text about it, and it's going to allow that word and not try and auto correct me for saying daddy in my texts. That's not for me, but it's a great song. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, we have to mention.
It's on my list as well.
Lyrically, rough. A very hard time in her life. And then Jack Antonoff in the background is just like, you know what would be good on this song? Synth. It's like he's beep booping in the background, and she's like, I am so depressed. And it it is so funny, the parallel of those two things. But I was actually listening to that on my way into work that day because I hadn't quite gotten out of the album yet. And I was listening to that and I was like walking up the steps to go into work and I was like, I had to like physically take an AirPod out and be like, what? Hold on. Let me reboot on this. Cause did I just hear what like she's like, I am so depressed. I act like it's my birthday every day. But then the synth in the background is like, let's go. What's happening? There's such a discord there. What else? The sadder songs, I liked So Long London, not sadder, but more down tempo. So Long London is good.
That's
LOML
on my
is
list too.
good. What else did I have on there? I feel like I still have yet to reconcile some of the back half of it, which is like the Fresh Out the Slammer, Guilty as Sin, I Can Fix Him. Those are in a chunk in my review right now, and I have yet to really give them a lot of separation.
Yeah, same. Like I'm still trying to digest a lot of the first like 15 tracks. That's how I'm kind of like it's 2 albums, so I'm still like working my way through the first half a lot. So like all my songs are from the first. Actually, I only have one song from the second half that I have kind of put on my playlist so far. But I'll get to that.
I'm
in a
interested to see if it's the
shift.
same as mine. So what's your second half standout?
The Black Dog.
Okay, that's a good one. That one's up there on mine. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4/5 on my list because I feel like that position is kind of mutable for me. I was gonna call out The Prophecy. That's a back half standout for me. How Did It End is a back half standout, but it's a Taylor Swift track 5. Like, what can we say? That's well done. There's a lot in the back half that even if we didn't know that it was Aaron Dessner, it has his fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know. It's really, really well done. The only one that didn't hit for me, and I don't know if I'm the only person that says this, but I look in people's windows. Something about that gives me the creeps. I don't know if it's the title or the intention. I get the intention. That's like I'm a passerby. I'm observing. I'm seeing all these people's different lives, and like it's not a thing that I have or I think that I can have, but it gives me a little creepy vibe. And I had to step back from that one for a minute and be like, no, not right now. But maybe later once I digest it, but not right now.
All right. So I can, so I'm still trying to, like I said, I'm still trying to work my way through a lot of that second part, even though on first listen, I loved it. And I was like, this is way better than the Jack production, the Dessner production. But I've always said that Folklore and Evermore are my 2 favorites Taylor Swift albums for a reason. I'm a massive Aaron Dessner like nerd. So big fan.
That man is always at the scene of the crime. Like the Eras Tour, every time the Eras Tour updates page was like, Taylor's brought out Aaron Dessner. And we're like, oh God, what are we about to lose?
Trying to find this particular tweet and I can't find it. So I'll bring it up. I might bring it up in a little bit here, but so I have, those are yours. I have a couple in common. I love So Long London. It's heartbreaking as all get out, but it is like, I tweeted this out at the first listen. I was like, this is legit like one of the best track 5s out there. I think it truly is like, it's up there for me. It's so good. I'll still listen to it once in a while. Listen to it the other day. I was like, oh man, it's a dagger straight through your sternum, basically. Sure. Number 1 on my list is the one that I keep listening to the most. I freaking love this song. It's Down Bad.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I love Down Bad. It's so good. It's like the whole idea of I first of all, I love how much Taylor curses in that song. And that's part of the reason.
That is true.
That's part of the reason why I like it. That part of the chorus, I guess, is like is why I like that song so much. And it's I put it on I have a playlist called Taylor Bangers Only. Down Bad is one of the songs that's on there and I usually use that playlist if I run or work out. That's my go-to playlist. So I also have Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, like I already said. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. We've already talked about that one. The one thing I said I will say about that song, and I messaged you this, I messaged it to Corey too. At the first time I heard that song, I was like, God dang it. I feel so bad for going to the Eras Tour and having a great time after listening to that song. I'm like, man, like, ugh, it's hard to even intimate on the podcast. It's like, ugh.
It is. It's like it's like the kindest way possible of saying that we were kind of the problem. We certainly weren't helping.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, there's two sides of me with this argument. There's two wolves. The little devil on my shoulder is like, you should feel bad because this is a thing that you contributed to. It's like, I was really struggling and we were all just wanting more from her. I get that. And we were all having a really good time and she was not having a good time. But to the Jiminy Cricket over here that's fine about it, that tries to see it from the bright perspective, is like, she would have wanted us to have a really good time regardless. And it wasn't, and this is me talking as if I know Taylor personally, so I don't just disregard that. But it's like, it wasn't something that she was ready to share with us yet, like her struggle about it. So we couldn't be expected to know that and feel poorly in that way. It was like, I think trying to conceptualize this like, if we had traded places and she was a fan, I think she would have wanted us to enjoy ourselves regardless. She wouldn't have, been putting on those shows if she didn't feel like she had some obligation to do so or enjoyment of doing so. And clearly music is sort of a catharsis for all of this. And so maybe in some way that helped, but like, there is a very two-sided emotion about that song. It's like, I feel really bad, but also I had a really good time and I think that that's okay. I don't know. That's a rough one. I'm glad you brought that up because that's such a strange a perspective to digest, that it's like the kindest way possible of saying that, like, this is kind of your fault. I love you guys, but it's kind of your fault.
It's another theme of the record as a whole too, where there's a couple of songs on the album where it's Brody her talking to the fan base as a whole and making that point. With all that said, it is on my Taylor Bangers Only playlist from this album. So I will still listen to it on runs.
It's a banger. It still is a banger.
I'm not, I'm like still shaking my booty as best I can when it comes on.
So that's all doing it to be bangers. That's fine.
Doing it in a very sad way.
There's a bug that just landed on my wall. What is that? All right, continue. It almost looks like it's a little ladybug, but I can't verify that.
Jordan has made a new friend.
Yeah. I have no idea. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull this up real quick just to make sure which ones I've added. Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna try and pick it up. Let's see. Please don't fly away.
While I look this up, where is it? HRT. Oh, here we go. Okay, I want to see which songs I added. Yeah, so I added 3 songs. I added Down Bad, Florida, and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
I don't know if you can see it. Ah!
Oh! And it's gone.
It's flying around my microphone. Okay, I got it for a minute.
Yeah, both of us have had bug interventions on the podcast now.
Yeah.
So yes, Down Bad, Florida, and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Those are the 3 songs on my Bangers Only playlist. The hell is that? Hang on a second.
This is Homemade Dynamite by Lorde. He's muted. Why did you get Homemade Dynamite? Were you... Another Jack Antonoff production on Melodrama by Lorde.
Here's the thing. It wasn't playing on Apple Music, so I have no idea where it was coming from. It just started playing. I don't know. I was so confused.
I don't know. That song is a banger too.
The Apple Assistant didn't go off, so I don't know what the hell happened. That was the strangest damn thing. Jack Antonoff got into my phone, heard me talking crap about his production, was like, oh, bam, and just started playing some random Jack produced music.
He did. He said you should take a step back and listen to Melodrama by Lorde, which I also produced. Yeah. He's like, let's just take a minute and listen to this masterpiece. Anyway, here's Homemade Dynamite.
We're gonna get, hopefully we don't get popped for that on YouTube. That was an accident.
It was so quiet. I think you're fine. We weren't trying to monetize anything off of that.
That was an accident. Okay, let me pull up some memes here that we shared. Okay, let's go to share screen. Some
memes.
Yes. Okay. Oh, here we go. This one's a great one right here. This is from another song on the anthology portion of the album.
So red. Do you see this? Can you see how red I am? I think it's like it's the caffeine flush.
A little bit, yeah. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
you're good.
I don't know what's going on with that there.
Is it cold
like I
there?
just ran a mile. No, no, it's not. It's, hold on, heat check. It's 57 and sunny. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
All right, let's go to our friend Mama Swift here.
Mama Swift. Oh my god. Okay, this song got pushed down my list. I don't know why. It just didn't quite hit for me sonically, but this lyric was so funny. This is from Thank You, Amy. Then the lyric says, everyone knows that my mother is a saintly woman, but she used to say she wished that you were dead. And they have this quoted side by side with a picture of Mama Swift. And that's a highlight for me. I think that's the only reason that song didn't finish farther down the list for me than it did, was because of that line right there, because I burst out laughing. I was like, I'm sorry, that is the funniest thing.
All right, let's see. Let's move on here. There's another. Where'd it go? Here we go. This is a great one too. This is our friend Kermit, who I sound nothing alike to, just for the record. But here we go. There's Kermit.
For the record. Who's afraid of little old me? Well, you should be. Yeah, it's the call an ambulance, but not for me. Like I said, I think I sent Richie at least, I say 97, and that's maybe a little bit facetious, but it was probably at least 30 DMs and content that morning of stuff that I saw on Twitter while he was sleeping, and I was like, I need you to look at this when you wake up. It's like, I'm so sorry for what your inbox looked like, because he just probably kept scrolling. It's like, are we done?
There were some great ones in there. There are some really good ones. Well, that's where I'm pulling most of this from too. This one here. The only thing more mortifying than your ex writing a breakup album about you is your ex writing a breakup album that isn't actually even about you. R.I.P. Joe, a man who wasn't even eulogized at his own funeral. True.
That's true. I think we thought that he was gonna, there was gonna be a little bit more criticism. It was gonna be a little bit harsher on Joe than it ended up being, which is fine. That's not for me to process.
Beside the point, as we talked about earlier. Okay, so here we go. I think this is the last one I want to share, because this one's a good one too. Folklore and Midnight's effed because this is their child, which is 100% true.
Yeah, there's something about the back half of the back half of Midnight's and the front half of Folklore that birthed this child. That is the Tortured Poets department. That feels right. That really does feel right.
All right. Last thing we should do real quick. I don't think we have anything else, but I kind of shared where my ranking was, where I ranked it. I think I said 7th or 8th for me. I turned my phone off because it would start randomly playing Lorde in the middle of the podcast for no apparent reason. So I can't look up my I look up my album rankings. Do you have a ranking here? Are you ready to make a ranking yet? Or is it, you still need a little bit of time to process it? Do you have a rating that you'd like to give the album? Maybe not yet.
No, I'm not sure I'm ready to process it yet. It's still baking for me. I will say that I think, and this is probably unfair to her first 2 albums, but the debut and Fearless Taylor's version, tend to fall down the list for me purely because when they first came out, I was still a kid, and like that was when Taylor was playing on country radio, and so I wasn't as into it. Speak Now was the first album that I actually had a lot of investment in because I remember like buying that album on my iPod Touch or iPod Nano, like the one with the click wheel.
Yes.
That's my age right there. My age is showing. But I remember it like actually investing into that album. It's tough to say. I'll comfortably chunk this together with Folklore and Evermore. But I think I agree with you that it falls down my list a little bit. Not for lack of trying, because sonically it's different to what we've heard from her so far on a lot of the tracks. But it just, I don't know. I'm not ready to give it a permanent place yet, but I will say that it falls somewhere around the Folklore Evermore anthology. Like if Woodvale was a real thing, this is maybe the conjoined twin of Woodvale that we never got. Like the anthology half feels like it could have been that. In another life, it could have been that.
I agree with that. I agree. Like I said, for me, here I have my full rankings here pulled up. I think I sent this list here too, but I'll repeat it for the people here. Folklore 1, Evermore 2, 1989 3, Rep 4, Midnight's 5, Red 6, Lover 7, Tortured Poets Department 8, and then Speak Now, Fearless and Debut 9, 10, 11. Reason why I have those further down the list is I really wasn't a fan of Taylor back then, so I just haven't been able to connect to those albums on the same level that I have the rest of her entire discography. Does that make sense?
You were doing a tremendous job of earning brownie points with me this episode, and then you just went and said Rep 4.
Yes, Rep 4. Yeah.
Nope. We can't be friends anymore. Podcast over. We're done. Rep 4?
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you change that ranking with Reputation, Taylor's version, whenever she decides to put it out. No pressure, girl. No pressure, Taylor. I'm sorry you feel pressured from us. If that's the message you were trying to get across, we're good. We're chill. You put that out on your own time, girl. I'm glad you're happy and doing your thing. You keep doing your thing.
Can I defend myself for just a moment?
No, maybe on the next episode. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No.
Briefly.
So, much like this album, Reputation, when it first came out, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I was like, this is weird. It was a little overproduced, and not the biggest fan. But since
You're
then,
a man. You're a man. This is a female rage album. Step back. He's the resident man on the podcast, and it's showing.
Making me feel bad. It's probably I should, but it's grown on me, so it's now moved up the list, and so it's into my top 5 now.
It's moved up from what? You have it at 4. Where was it?
I mean, it was like going to be like when it came out. I had really never listened to anything pre 1989, so like it was like below. Or it was below 1989. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this or not, but it's grown on me ever since. So
I don't know.
It's not bad, for love of goodness. Please don't get me wrong and misconstrued.
No.
It's a great album. Okay,
not saying great. Not saying that. We're not saying that.
It's just not my favorite.
We're not saying that. We love all of Taylor's albums, even if we don't like them all exactly equally. We like the artistry of them. I love being part of a Taylor Swift album release experience because it really is like being online with all of the Swifties and the whole community and watching people digest and understand this in real time and relate to it. There's like a new theory every day still. We're like a week out, and I just look forward to seeing people kind of trying to dissect all of it and process it. So I don't know. We can relate this back as well. That's like, even though this album isn't straight to the top of the charts on our rankings, that doesn't mean that we didn't appreciate it. We love it. Yes. I love being a part of new music. This is great. Anyway, that's fine. Richie and I will fist fight about rep when I next see him. It's like, I don't know.
I promise you, it's not. I'm not hating on the record, Jordan. I promise.
I know you're not hating on the record, but I think
walking this back here.
No. That's all. It's you're having a letterboxed moment, which is your criteria is jacked up. Your ranking system is messed up. I'm sorry. You got to go calibrate that because it's wrong. I like, in the most respectful way, is wrong. So yeah, we have to rewire Richie's brain before the next release because I can't trust him to process that information correctly.
I'm excited for Rep TV. It's coming out in September, by the way. If you
it's
listen
not
to all the clownery going on this week.
No, Taylor, you release that whenever you're good and ready. We will be here for you. Don't. Okay. This is a thing that I had on here that I think we can end on and just very quickly. Can we quickly eulogize the Coyotes? Just very, very briefly.
Oh, yes.
That was another thing that happened this week that I feel like we should touch on because it's near and dear to both of our hearts. It's something we could truly probably spend an entire episode on. But I think I speak for both Richie and myself when I say that we wouldn't be where we are today. And I don't mean this silly podcast that we do for fun, but hell, I guess even the silly podcast that we do for fun, we wouldn't be where we are in life or in our careers without the Coyotes in some capacity. There's so many stories like ours that is such an impact that can't be measured about the loss of this team. And we're all really kind of grieving it. And it certainly wasn't easy. But there were a lot of us that were very loyal supporters. And I think our fans, the fans and the players and the hockey community in Arizona all really exemplified that. And it's tough to lose that, but it's something that I know that they're going to keep fighting. The hockey community in Arizona is so strong, and there's so many kids that love the game, and they're going to keep fighting regardless of what happens in this chapter. We'll see where the next one goes, but that was just a very brief eulogy of the Arizona Coyotes. Temporarily rest in peace. Please give us back a team. We miss them.
Yeah, we ain't going a diatribe, but about just don't no with Alex Murillo. But that's that's beside the point. Yeah, I don't think, honestly, I don't even know if you and I would have met like without the Coyotes in a way. Like that's kind of how our paths crossed, I guess you could say, through our hockey fandom, right?
That's true.
But yeah, I don't really have much to add there other than the fact that over the past like week and a half, it has literally been like going through, like Taylor's album was mostly going through 7 stages of grief in a way. That's how I felt.
He's adding 2 more stages of grief. Oh God.
Wait, is there only 5? I thought it was 7. I honestly thought it was 7.
He's adding 2 more stages of grief. That's how bad this has been. We're adding more stages of grief.
Yeah.
No, girl. No, girl. Can you name them?
We got, no. Anger.
Okay, yeah, that's one.
Sadness.
No. But maybe it should be.
Well, that's number 6.
Maybe it should be. That's 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Depression.
That is one. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. Halfway there.
Doesn't know. We're not.
I don't know the rest off the top of my head, but I can guarantee you I went through all of them during the last week and a half.
Yeah, that's true. This has really been a gut punch for us. So you're lucky that we rallied to do this podcast for you today.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any closing thoughts? We're already way over time, but closing thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I think my phone's back on and not playing random music, so that's cool.
All right, perfect. We are back to where we started. All right. This has been episode 17 question mark. I think. This has been episode 17.
Yeah.
17. Thank you for joining us on this. I hope it delivered everything that we promised you for this episode, which was just kind of a lot of nonsense and then also a lot of Taylor Swift. But yeah, we appreciate you. Thanks for sticking with us. You can follow us on the socials anywhere you get your podcasts, your videos, your short videos, your doom scrolling. We are at OHOBC Pod. For as long as they will let us have TikTok, we are there as well. For my co-host Richie, I have been Jordan. We are your resident tortured poets. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.